Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Thank you for joining me once again for this Magic the Gathering box opening. Now, this is being recorded right before Final Fantasy is coming out, but the way that things are progressing, I don't know if I'm going to have this up before or after. However, what I did want to do is, because I got this special, it came up there on an offer and I decided to take it up. We had talked about this already. We had Tarkir Dragonstorm that came through and it was wonderful. And we had talked about Dominaria a little bit here with all of the classic dragons that they had it as well, with like the Arcades Sabath, Nicol Bolas, Ugin, and all of that. Well, Wizards of the Coast does have one thing that you might be able to think, like something dragon related that might be even more popular, that might be around. And you know what? I think you can probably guess what it is. Yeah, it's Dungeons and Dragons. Like, of course, the dragon set that they had with Dragonstorm and Tarkir would be really good. They've already had like a whole product based off of dragons already, so it's just like, yeah, it makes perfect sense. So, you know, why not finish up this trifecta by having one more dragon there? Now, obviously, the ancient dragons are going to be the primary candidate of what we want to see there, because you can never have too many of those. And I still have yet to get an ancient copper dragon. I do know they were reprinting it in Final Fantasy there, but who knows? Maybe we can get our first one in this instead. So we're going to get on through this here, seeing what we might be able to pull up and seeing if it was completely worth it there. All right, a little bit of Orb of Dragonkind there. We're not going to be going through each of these cards here. We're just going to be kind of going through, seeing what there is, and maybe stopping on the rares there. Great Sword of Tyr. Contact other planes with the whole rolling the dice. I really, really like that there. I want to put them into more decks. Knoll Warband. You know, this is just some regular Knolls. Emerald Dragons with the adventure mechanic that they brought back from good old Eldraine there. So that's always nice. Good old Swamp. Cloak of the Bat with all of these cards from essentially the manual. A little bit of Thrakkus the Butcher. I didn't get this one until a little bit later on. Is a legendary creature, so always like to have a little bit of that out there. A little bit of Sivirus Nightmare Speaker etched foil here. A little bit of Barroom Brawl, 1 and a green for a sorcery. Target creature you control fights target creature the opponent to your left controls. Then that player may copy the spell and may choose new targets for the copy. So, hey, you know, have everything just go round and around. That seems fine. Ooh, little haunted one there. A background mythic, so already getting up in the mythics there. 2 and a black for a legendary enchantment background with commander creatures you own have, whenever this creature becomes tapped, it and other creatures you control that share a creature type with it each get +2/+0 and gain Undying until end of turn. Not too shabby there. I mean, especially if you're playing some sort of Kindred deck there. A little bit of Robe of the Archmagi. 2 and a blue for an artifact equipment with whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, you draw that many cards. Nice. Equip cost of 4, but if you equipped it to a Shaman, Warlock, or Wizard, it only takes 1. Now, they specifically put in combat damage for that because you could do something like equipping this to a Niv Mizzet the Firemind, where, oh, you know, I draw a card, which means I deal a damage, and if you dealt that damage to the player and it didn't say combat damage and just said damage, well, that's damage, so you would just continuously draw and kill out your opponents that way. So very, very specific. Oh, and we're getting one of the Baldur's Gate companions there in the etched foil, Lysel, Vlaakith's champion. 2 and a white for a 3/3 legendary creature Gith Warrior with, if you would put one or more counters on a creature or planeswalker you control or on yourself, put that many +1 of each of those kinds of counters on that permanent or player instead. So kind of nice there, especially with something like that Tidus deck coming out that is going to be dealing with a lot of counters there. So getting more out there and being able to spread the love. The favorite companion character of a couple of my friends who have played Baldur's Gate there, so, that one's always nice to see. Ooh, a little bit of Ball, Lord of Murder, in that guidebook artwork there. 2, a black, a green, and a red for a 4/4 legendary god with, as long as your life total is less than or equal to half of your starting life, it has indestructible. And whenever another non-token creature you control dies, you put a +1/+1 counter on target creature and you goad it. Very, very nice. We're also going to get, a little bit of Asterion the Decadent in this same one here. Another one of our prime candidates there. Who knows, maybe this card will have gone up in value since the set came out because of that. Who knows? For a white and a black for a 4/4 legendary vampire elf rogue with Death Touch and Lifelink, and at the beginning of your end step, you choose one. Either feed, which is target opponent loses life equal to the amount of life you gained this turn, or you gain life equal to the amount of life you gained this turn. So you can either friends it up and double up your life total, or feed and make your opponents lose how much you have. Not too bad. And we're getting a little bit of Dragon and Treasure. Makes sense that they're going along the lines there together. So, quite a bit of rares and a mythic right off the bat there. So, hopefully we're going to be getting some more of that. No dragons yet, except for, the token that we had there. But, we're looking for the real stuff, like this Draconic Lore. A little bit of Goliath Paladin, Dread Lindworm, a little bit of Blood Boil, Sorcerer, a Topaz Dragon. Yeah, we have those types of dragons. We want the ancient kinds, though. A little bit of Mountain. I'm going to get a little bit of Ganex, Astral Hunter there. A little bit of Legendary Dragons. A little bit of Amber Gristle O'Maul. I have not played through all of Baldur's Gate yet, so if she does show up in it, I have not met her yet, so we'll look forward to it. A little bit of Master Chef in the etched foiling there. And I'm going to start off with a little bit of Vexing Puzzle Box. 3 for an artifact with, whenever you roll 1 or more dice, you put a number of charge counters on Vexing Dice Box equal to the result. You can tap this to add 1 mana of any color to roll a d20. So get that extra mana and get the extra counters on this here. You can tap this and remove 100 charge counters from it to search your library for an artifact and put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. I have no idea how well this does, but I mean, if you roll very well, you can consistently be getting artifacts out, so shouldn't be too bad. Plus, it's a mythic and one that I don't even have, so I'll certainly take it. A little bit of green slime action, 2 and a green for a 2/2 ooze with flash. With, when green slime enters the battlefield, counter target activated or triggered ability from an artifact or an enchantment source. If a permanent's ability is countered this way, destroy that permanent. Interesting. Countering target activated abilities, that's, only from an artifact or enchantment. Not too bad. Some of those can be quite good, especially with especially with some of that stuff coming in this new Final Fantasy set. Lots of good artifacts, and there's going to be all of the Saga creature summons, so that's pretty good. So I believe its foretell is that, you pay 3, is it? And then you, 3 generic, and then you pay the green on a later turn there or something like that. I can't quite remember, or if it's you pay the 3 and then it's face down and then you can pay it for the green at another point there, but they don't know. I'm not too certain, but I don't think it's that bad. I'd certainly take it. Traverse the Outlands, 4 and a green for a sorcery with search your library for up to X basic land cards, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. Put those cards onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. Oh, wow. I don't think I had this card, and I'm really, really glad that I did, because, yeah, this is insane. I really, really like this here. So, fantastic card. I'm hoping that it has some good value since it looks like it's really good. I'll certainly take that. Duke Ulder Raven Guard for a red and a white for a 5/5 legendary human noble soldier with, at the beginning of combat on your turn, another target creature you control gains haste and myriad until end of turn. Ooh. Ooh. Giving something haste and myriad to get a bunch of stuff out. Now, unfortunately, it is in red and white, so it's not something that could easily be played in something like the Master Multiplied there, because that's red and black. So neither of them could be in each other's deck unless you put in a different commander and tried to get both of them out. But I'm sure that you could get other red and white cards out that really benefit up from that there, of getting a bunch of extra ones out there, especially if it's something that has to do with ETB triggers, because if you attack one person and you're making 2 other versions, get those 2 activations, that sounds really nice. Oh, doubling up on those vexing puzzle boxes, so getting both of the artwork since I had neither of them. I will certainly take that there. It's looking a lot more like a cube now. But yeah, like I said, I'll certainly take all of the artworks that I can. And getting some lands there, always nice. Sea of Clouds enter the battlefield tapped unless you have 2 or more opponents. Okay, so really, really good white and blue land. We'll certainly take that, especially since it's foil and extended art. I don't think that it's an alternate art, but yeah, always take that. And we're going to have a cute little rabbit and treasure there. So another really good one with double mythics and a dual land. You know, that's doing decent, I think. Again, I have no idea what Vexing Puzzle Box is worth or how much that it's played, but it definitely seems like it would go in the dice rolling deck that I would like to be able to do. Okay, so next up we're going to have a little Fire Diamond, some Pilgrim's Eye, some classics, Blessed Hippogriff, Giant Ankheg. I have no idea what that is. I have not played enough D&D to have any idea what it is, but it looks horrific. I'm surprised that it's not an insect horror at that point. Nemesis Phoenix, good old island there. Love my islands. Renari, Merchant of Marvels. A little bit of dragon kind there. Cast dragon spells and artifacts as though they had flash. Okay, yeah, that's nice. Sword Coast Sailor, a little bit of background action. A little bit of Gut True Soul Zealot. I think that they might be in the Baldur's Gate game, I'm pretty sure. Okay, so now we're getting on to our rares here. A little bit of Raised by Giants. A 5 and a green for a legendary enchantment background with commander creatures you own have base power and toughness 10/10 and are giants in addition to their other types. So, I mean, if you had this as a background to keep out, you know, something that, you know, it'd have to be something that would benefit from having this out there. So, something that might deal, like, that you gain advantages based off of how much damage you deal, but they have really low stats to start off with. Or, you know, running in the 99 if you don't, and, you know, if you're running stuff with +1/+1 counters, or, for God forbid, if you're using, like, Infect, then, you know, 10 is all you need. It's all you need. So, that's an interesting one. From the Catacombs, 3 and 2 black for a sorcery with put target creature from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control with a corpse counter on it. You take the initiative. Oh, great, initiative. If that creature would leave the battlefield, exile instead of putting it anywhere else. And you can play this with its escape cost, 3 and 2 black, and exile 5 other cards from your graveyard. Okay, you know, bringing a creature back for 5. Not the greatest rate, but, I mean, all you're doing is you can't do it from the graveyard again. I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world. A little bit of blood money, okay. Another little mythic there. 5 and 2 black for a sorcery with destroy all creatures, and for each non-token creature destroyed this way, you create a tapped treasure token. Oh, a board wipe that just gives you a whole bunch of treasures. That's pretty good. Yeah, I'm gonna certainly take that there. Thank you. Okay, a little bit of Council of 4. Etched here, 3 a white and a blue for a 0/8. It's too bad that it's blue because that Abzin Toughness Matters deck can't run it there, and this is a 0/8. So whenever a player draws their second card during their turn, you draw a card, and whenever a player casts their second spell during their turn, you create a 2/2 white knight creature token. Okay, I see how it is. People are probably not going to restrict themselves on card draw or spell casting there because of this, so you can just build up a little bit of extra board, get a little bit extra card draw. I mean, especially if you're playing a more defensive game there with a 0/8, just getting a little bit by the time that they get back to you. Not too shabby. Probably not the best thing ever, though. Maisie, one of those two. True Sword Paladin, a 1, a red, a green, and a white for a 3/4 legendary halfling knight with whenever an enchanted creature attacks one of your opponents, it gets +2/+0 and gains trample until end of turn. And whenever an aura you control is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, you exile it, and until the end of your next turn, you may cast that card. Oh. Huh. Okay, so this is heavily aura-based, which, normally you get very punished with it. Not quite as much as with artifacts because you need to pay the cost and then pay the equip cost most of the time. But, if one of your creatures dies and they lose an aura, or even if you have like an aura with totem armor on it there, totem armor goes to the graveyard and you can just cast it again. That's not too bad either. Something to consider there. I could definitely see this as being a almost like a, what would you call it there? Potentially maybe like a Voltron type of commander there. If you've got ways to keep it safe, then even if something goes to the grave, you could replay it back out and Voltron up a different creature there. Oh, I know this one had been good for a bit. I don't know if it still is, but this is my first one there, and getting the extended art foil is really, really nice there for me. Thank you very much. Archivist of Ogma, 1 and a white for a 2/2 halfling cleric with flash, with whenever an opponent searches their library, you gain a life and draw a card. Drawing those cards whenever the searches happen, that's a very, very nice one there. I'll certainly take that. Construct with treasure. Lots of treasure going on there. Did I accidentally put one in there? No, this is just we just didn't get a mythic in this one here, or did we get blood money and I just put it in the right place? I can't remember, but so far it's looking like we're getting some good luck there. Still no ancient dragons though, so that's the only thing. We're really, really hoping to get one of those. A little bit of shiny impetus. Oh, it's a nice one of the auras there. I like those ones there. Some gates. I can always use more gates, especially foil ones. Those are nice. Astral Confrontation. Ambition's Cost. I feel like we've seen another version of this recently. Mystery Key. A little bit of Plains action with a little bit of like a Bazaar there. A little bit of classic Marble Diamond. Sign of Hallister. I'm not really sure who Hallister is, so, doesn't mean a whole lot to me. Lausanne, Dragon's Legacy, more dragons there, so maybe this will go into another dragon deck. Like we said, we're looking for a lot of dragons here. All right, and into the rares we have Call to the Void, 4 and a black for a sorcery with each player secretly chooses a creature they control and a creature they don't control. Then those choices are revealed and destroy each creature chosen this way. Interesting. So potentially another type of board wipe there. I mean, people could say, like, I'm going to choose this and secretly choose something else. I mean, anything is possible there. So nice little one there. It's weird, but, nice little one there. A little bit of Loot Dispute. Trying to almost rhyme there. 3 and a red for an enchantment with when it ETBs, you take the initiative and create a treasure. And whenever you attack the player who has the initiative, you create a treasure token. So you're trying to give the initiative away. Okay. And Loud Ruckus, whenever you complete a dungeon, you create a 5/5 red dragon creature token with flying. So not the one that we saw there. So, but an interesting little one there, especially if you're completing out dungeons with the initiative or any other way. Oh, a little bit of Gale's Redirection, a little bit of Gale cards. 3 and 2 blue for an instant with exile target spell, then roll a d20 and add that spell's mana value. So higher the spell value, the better you get. 1 to 14, you may cast the exiled spell for as long as it remains exiled, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast. Or 15 plus, you may cast the exiled card without paying its mana cost for as long as it remains exiled. So they never end up getting to cast a spell, and you're able to cast it on one of your other turns there. And if it's a big spell, then it's a lot easier to get to that 15 there. I mean, what if it's something with 8 cost there? Then you just have to get a 7 or higher. You have almost like a 33, you have like a 66% chance of getting that 15 plus. Sounds pretty good to me. I mean, it is pretty costly there, but who knows? Maybe saving the day and then being able to cast that big spell yourself is gonna win you the game. And we're gonna get a little bit of John Irenicus, the Shattered One. 2, a blue and a black for a legendary elf wizard 3/3 with, at the beginning of your end step, target opponent gains control of up to 1 target creature you control. You put 2 +1/+1 counters on it and tap it. It's goaded for the rest of the game, and it gains It Can't Be Sacrificed. Okay. Whenever a creature you own but don't control attacks, you draw a card. Okay, so a little bit of lending stuff out to other people there that, you're goading them so they can never be held back for blocking unless your opponent specifically untaps them there. Okay. And so another way to draw cards. I mean, I'm not disliking it. I would have to think of what to do. I mean, the other thing that you could potentially do is do like a little bit of Beamtown Bully type of action where it's a card that gives a lot of negative effects when it attacks there, not specifically when it enters. That's the thing, because it already has to be on your field. Okay. Yeah. I could see something of that. Oh, here we go. A little bit of the Karlach action. Karlach, Fury of Avernus. 4 and a red for a 5/4 legendary tiefling barbarian with, whenever you attack, if it's the first combat phase of the turn, untap all attacking creatures. They gain first strike until end of turn. After this phase, there is an additional combat phase. Yeah. Straight into the red deck that I want to try to make, where you just take 4 or 5 combat phases, one right after the other, of just trying to knock people out like that there. Plus it's Karlach, so I know that it's a desirable card there, so we'll absolutely take that. Oh, and we're getting a little bit of Morphic Pool action, another one of our lands there, this time producing blue or black, entering tapped unless you have 2 or more opponents, which most of the time you are, so I'm pretty sure I don't have this one from the set either, so, a little bit of Demon Treasure action. So we might not be getting the Ancient Dragons, but we're getting some pretty good lands. So I'm pretty happy with those ones there. So getting some of the good full art lands, as well as getting a Karlach, an Asterion, Lae'zel. It's not too bad. Some Genasi Enforcers, Tiamat's Fanatics. Okay, some bad guys, it looks like there. Nefarious Imp, Contraband Livestock. Ooh. A little bit of Dungeoneer's Pack and some Swamps Through the Sewers. Some Stone Speaker Crystal there. Okay. Some OG the Exquisite Blade, some Monk action. A little bit of Saravok the Deathbringer. Okay. And we're getting that Duke Older Raven Guard again. This time not in the etched foil, just the regular foil, but we'll certainly take more of that just in case we need it. And a multi-class Baldric. So, put in whatever you need onto it there to get quick access. 1 mana artifact equipment with an equip cost of 2. With equipped creature has lifelink if you control a cleric, death touch if you control a rogue, haste if you control a warrior, and flying if you control a wizard. So that kind of like party up mechanic there is what you're trying to go for. Or or you just put it into a like a changeling deck there, because they're all types there, so it's just automatically you get all of them. And as long as you have a full party, prevent all damage that would be dealt to equipped creature. Okay, so yeah, it was exactly what I was talking about there. So yeah, if you put this into a deck that has some of those changelings in it there, that changeling will have lifelink, death touch, haste, flying, and all damage is prevented to it. Okay, not too shabby. I'll certainly take one of those. I'm sure that I can find something for it. A little bit of Ithelid Harvester there. A little start of the Baldur's Gate action there. 4 and a blue for a 4/4 horror with Ceramorphosis. When Ithelid Harvester enters the battlefield, return any number of target tapped non-token creatures face down. When it enters the battlefield, turn any number of target tapped non-token creatures face down. They're 2/2 horror creatures. Oh, so you could really mess up someone's board there because of their face down. They don't have any abilities, and it's hard to turn the face up, especially since there's no way to do it. Plant Tadpoles, X and 2 blue for a sorcery adventure with tap X target creatures. They don't untap during their controller's next untap steps. Okay, so it's just comboing right into each other, where you tap down as much stuff as possible with this sorcery, at least the way that they're intending the card to do. You tap down as much stuff as you can with this on one turn, and then the very next turn you do this one here, because theoretically they'll all be tapped there. They don't have the stun counters, so it might not be, it's not quite as good, because with the stun counters, it's even if they untap it, they would take off the stun counter instead, whereas with this, if they untap it, it's just untapped there. But turning everything face down and making them generic 2/2s, that could hurt them there. So I'll certainly take that. Zevlor, Elturel Exile, 1 a blue, a black, and a red. I think I've seen this guy before there. 4/2 legendary Tiefling Warrior with haste, with 2 and tap. When you next cast an instant or sorcery spell that targets a single opponent or a single permanent an opponent controls this turn, for each other opponent, choose that player or a permanent they control, copy that spell and the copy targets the chosen player or permanent. Oh, okay. That's interesting too. So if you have like a singular kill spell, it then turns into it turns into 3. Or if you're targeting an opponent to do something like maybe discard a card or something like that there, then you could make everybody discard a card. Oh, that's interesting there. Yeah, I could certainly build something around that there. That could be interesting. Another one of our companions there, Will, Blade of the Frontiers, just not with his horned look. 1 and a red for a 1/1 legendary human warlock with, if you would roll 1 or more dice, instead roll that many dice plus 1 and ignore the lowest roll. So getting a little bit of advantage there. I like that. That's like the Krark's Thumb. Oh, I like Will here. Whenever you roll 1 or more dice, put a +1/+1 on Will, Blade of the Frontiers. Okay, so it definitely seems like I would need to make a deck that has red in it for that specific dice rolling so that he could be in it. Okay, and I think that this is our last one there. Oh, and a little Council of 4 action there with the other artwork. We'll certainly take that. Probably is not going to be the best case there, especially since we're looking for those ancient dragons there, but it's a card that I don't have yet, so I'll certainly take that. Boar Treasure? Yeah, Boar Treasure. Okay, so with this one here, officially halfway through. All right. Halfway luck? I don't know if that's a thing, but, we'll take any sort of luck that we can get. Basilisk Gate, more gates, we'll certainly take that. Hezro, a frog demon. Okay. I don't know what that one is at all. I know that there was a frog demon in one of the Critical Role campaigns, but I don't know if this was that type there. A little bit of Underseller Myconid. Okay, a little bit of fungus action. Some Treasure Keeper, a Gone Gate. Well, as I said, take any amount of gates that we can. Add 1 mana of any color that another gate you control could produce. Nice, nice. Forest, okay. A little bit of OG, just with the other artwork style of it, okay. Feywild Visitor, a little bit of Street Urchin background there, and we're going to get not an Ancient Dragon, but an Earthquake Dragon there. Ooh, big 10/10 that you have to pay, that a CMC of 15 on it there. Ooh, it's going to take forever to pay 15, right? Nah. This spell costs X less to cast, where X is the total mana value of dragons you control. Obviously, playing it in a dragon deck, you're essentially playing this for 1 green. A 10/10 for 1 green. With flying and trample. And you can pay 2 and a green to sacrifice a land to return this from your graveyard to your hand. Again, it's just like, and it's hard to get rid of. Yeah, goes great in dragon decks, can certainly tell you that. Okay, another mythic here. Durnan of the Yawning Portal, 3 and a green for a 3/3 legendary human warrior. Kind of looks a little bit like he's a Barkeep there. Whenever he attacks, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may exile a creature card from among them. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in order. And for as long as that card remains exiled, you may cast it. That spell has Undaunted. Unfortunately, I do not know what Undaunted means. So I'm going to assume that it's something good, and I'm going to be like, wow, this card's so good. Oh, but yeah, I don't know what Undaunted is. It's been a while since I've opened up from these packs there, so yeah. But still, I mean, because it's for as long as that card remains exiled, not for as long as this one remains out, that can be pretty good there. So being able to get some extra creatures out pretty easily, I'll certainly take that, especially since, again, I don't think I have this one here. Okay, a little bit of Intellect Devourer. I think I liked this one. I'll have to remind myself what it does. 3 and a black for a 2/4 horror with Devour Intellect. When it ETBs, each opponent exiles a card from their hand until this leaves the battlefield. And Body Thief, you may play lands and cast spells from among cards exiled with Intellect Devourer. If you cast a spell this way, you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast it. Okay, so that's pretty nice. So definitely going into one of those like blue-black, I play your deck type of strategies there. Except instead of taking off the top of your deck, you're taking from their hands. They get to choose what gets exiled out. So, but if they don't have a lot of cards in their hand, they might struggle, and taking away resources can be pretty good. Now, I can only imagine if there was a way to potentially do this, because I think that there is ways in blue, not quite as much as there is in white, but to be able to not flash it, but what do you call it there? Blink it. If you're able to blink it after you've used up all the cards, you can get it again. Get some more triggers. I'll like that. A little bit of Etched Raised by Giants background there. So, get a little bit of bling bling up for that there. And a little bit of Jan Jansen, Chaos Crafter, or red, white, and black 3/3 Gnome Artificer, legendary with haste. You can tap them to sack an artifact creature to create 2 treasures, or you can sacrifice a non-creature artifact to create 2 1/1 colorless construct artifact creature tokens there. So, I mean, it's going kind of right around with each other there of, you sacrifice one of the 2 products that you get there to get double up of the other one there. I mean, that's probably all he's going to be doing, so unless you've got a way to consistently untap them there. Definitely good with something like Academy Manufacturer. Unfortunately, it's not in green, so you can't play something like, Doubling Season or anything like that. You'd have to find a way to, if there is a way to get extra tokens out. I can't remember if Anointed Procession allows that, or if that's just creature tokens there. I'm not sure, but if there's a way for you to get some extra treasures, and then you're able to spend mana to untap them to, consistently get some of that stuff, that's not too shabby. Oh, and we're getting a Displacer Kitten. I remember this one being good too, with, I think, a Blink deck there. So, Displacer Kitten, 3 and a blue for a 2/2 Cat Beast with Avoidance. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, exile up to one target non-land permanent you control, then return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control. Very nice, getting those extra ETB triggers whenever you cast a non-creature. That's a pretty good one there. We'll certainly take more of those there. Oh, and we're getting a little bit of Undercity action there. So, getting a little bit of, you know, the Initiative and Undercity double cards there. Certainly take those because I would want the reminder text on all those. So, did pretty good there for the halfway point as well. Again, though, no dragons, the ancient dragons, so we're still looking for those. A little bit of Bronze Walrus. It's a nice fellow. I vouch for him. He's a nice guy. A little bit of Dawnbringer Cleric, Ghastly Death Tyrant, a little bit of Undead Beholders there, yikes. Passageway Seer, okay. A little bit of Nothic, yeah, he looks like a horror there. Some Plains, a little bit of Taunting Kobold there. Looks like a nice fellow there with his little cage of spiders. Lizon, Cultist of Tiamat, some more Tiamat cultists, great. A little bit of Halsim, Emerald Archdruid. I think that he's another one of the companions that you can get there. So, turning people into bears just like he turned himself, okay. Okay, and we're going to get a little bit of Caves of Chaos Adventurer. 3 and a red for a 5/3 Human Barbarian with Trample. With when this ETBs, you take the initiative. And whenever it attacks, you exile the top card of your library. If you've completed a dungeon, you may play that card this turn without paying its mana cost. Otherwise, you may play that card this turn. Oh, super big dungeon card there. Yeah, if you're able to complete a dungeon by the time that you can get this out and attack, being able to just consistently play the top card of your library for free? Yes, please. I'll certainly take that. A little bit of Journey to the Lost City, 3 and a green for an enchantment with, at the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top 4 cards of your library and then roll a d4. We like rolling our not d4s, d20s. We like rolling our d20s. From a 1 to a 9, you may put a land card from among them onto the battlefield. Okay. For a 10 to a 19, you create a 2/2 green wolf creature token. Then you put a +1/+1 counter on it for each creature card among those cards. Okay. Okay, and then for a 20, you put all permanents exiled with it onto the battlefield, and then you sacrifice this card. Okay, interesting. So definitely trying to hit that 20 if you're in a permanent deck there. Okay, it's just an interesting one there. Oh, a double Morphic pool. Yeah, we'll absolutely take that, especially since I think this is the highest valued one there. I'll certainly take more of that. Oh, we're getting a little bit more of Jan Jensen, Chaos Crafter, this time just with that etched foil bordering there. So, you know, we'll take more versions of our cards there. Certainly take that. Oh, it looks like we're getting as many copies of this Duke Older Raven Guard as we can, just, you know, with any of the different types of artworks there. Just need to get a foil version of this, though I kind of don't want to. I want to get something else. Okay. Ooh, and we're going to get a little bit of Pact Weapon. I don't think that this one is terribly great. A little bit of Saproling Treasure there. Okay, so a little bit of 3 and a black for an artifact equipment with, as long as Pact Weapon is attached to a creature, you don't lose the game for having 0 or less life. Whenever equipped creature attacks, you draw a card and reveal it. The creature gets +X/+X until end of turn, and you lose X life, where X is that card's mana value. Okay. Interesting. So you get to draw cards, it gets bigger, but you lose life. It's an interesting card. Equip cost is discarding a card. But, I mean, if you're playing this, you're getting a bunch of cards. It's an interesting one. I'd have to really think about how to use it. I don't think it's just I can put this into any type of deck type of card there. But, I mean, it's another mythic. We'll take it. Yeah. We'll see how we can use it there. A little Nimble Right Schematic. Fang Dragon, Summon Undead, Arcane Encyclopedia, Sailor's Bane, a little bit of Dragon Turtle action, Swamp, good old classic Fire Diamond, just with the other artwork this time, a little Cloakwood Hermit, a Dungeon Delver, companions you own have room abilities trigger an additional time. That's pretty nice there. Ooh, a little bit of Storm King's Thunder. I don't know. Let's see here. X and triple red for an instant with whenever you cast your next instant or sorcery spell this turn, copy that spell X times. You may choose new targets for the copies. Okay, now I think I have this one already, but not a foil version, so I'll certainly take this foil version of it and help pulling out that deck there. Very, very nice. Being able to copy something multiple times can be very, very good there. So I'm certainly going to take that. Oh, doubling up on the mythics here, this time a folk hero background. 1 and white for a legendary enchantment with commander creatures you own have whenever you cast a spell that shares a creature type with this creature. You draw a card, it only activates once each turn. So, playing a little bit of kindred stuff, and as long as it shares one type, you can draw stuff. So probably consistently drawing a card each turn if you're doing a little bit of kindred action. Okay. Ooh, getting another Displacer Kitten. We'll certainly take another one of those. Certainly help with other types of blink decks, or, not having to take it out every single time. Being able to put multiple in for ones that you want, potentially with different commanders and whatnot. Certainly take more of those. And we're also going to get Gorian Wise Mentor. A green, a white, and a blue for a 3/4 legendary human wizard with vigilance. With whenever you cast an adventure spell, you may copy it and you may choose new targets for the copy. So I think it's pretty straightforward. You have a bunch of creatures that have the adventure mechanic on it, or just, cards in general that have the adventure mechanic on it. And essentially you pay the normal cost, but you get double it up on it. Usually it's a little bit pricey to use those adventure cards because it's kind of like a modal thing, or, sometimes it works out, but I mean, to essentially be getting double the price for it there, it's usually pretty good. So, and it's not once a turn, so you can do it multiple times. So I very much enjoy that one there. I'll certainly take that. Alondo the Seer, 2 a red and a green and a blue for a 3/5 legendary human shaman with you tap to draw a card, then exile a card from your hand and put a number of time counters on it equal to its mana value. It gains whenever the last time counter is removed from this card. If it's exiled, you may cast it without paying its mana cost. If you cast a creature spell this way, it gains haste until end turn, then remove a time counter from each other card you own in exile. Oh. Interesting. So when it comes out, you could really snowball it up. You can really get this set up. So it's just consistently each turn there. If you put one off, it's equal to its mana value. So if you consistently play stuff to be able to trigger multiple times out, yeah, you can just get a really, really big turn going there. Because they're exiled and whatnot there, it's not really, they can't really interact with them all that well. So, and we're going to get a little bit of Sculpted Sunblast, a 3 and double white for a sorcery with choose a creature you control. Then each opponent chooses a creature they control with equal or lesser power. If you chose a creature this way, exile each creature not chosen by any player this turn. Okay. Okay, so it's a board wipe where you can save stuff. This seems like it's really, really good in the toughness matters because a lot of them have low power anyway. So if you choose something with 0 power, unless an opponent has something with 0 power, they don't choose it and it goes away. The rest of your board goes away though, so that is something that you have to be careful of. And another little Undercity and initiative, so just in case we have multiple initiative stuff there, we can put an extra reminder in each of those there. That seems fine. Oop. Just knocked over my scissors there. Okay, 4 more packs here. little bit of Ingenious Artillerist. You're confronted by robbers, getting a little bit of modal action. Predatory Impetus, more of those, but I like the other one better. Explore the Underdark. Good old classic Fireball. Some island with some ships. That same Saravok Deathbringer, just with the alternate art here, and, you know, foil and not etched. A little bit of Tavern Brawler and Flaming Fist etched foil there. Okay. I think that this is another one. I don't know if Jaheira is a companion or not, or just a character that you run into. I think that she's a companion. You can tell me if I'm incorrect, though. Jaheira, Friend of the Forest, 2 and a green for a 2/3 legendary human elf druid with tokens you control, have tap, add green. Very, very nice. So, you know, you're getting up a bunch of creature tokens. They become Elvish Mystics. You get a bunch of treasure tokens or food tokens, any sort of those ones there, clues, anything along those lines, and now they become just like you don't have to sacrifice them. So honestly, pretty decent one if you want to be ramping up a whole lot there. A little bit of Spectacular Showdown, a little bit of games inside the arena. 1 and a red for a sorcery with put a double strike counter on target creature, then go to each creature that had a double strike counter put on it this way. So a double strike counter. Okay. Ooh, and you can overload them there. 4 for 4 and 3 red. Okay, so you can put a double strike counter on every single creature on the battlefield. Interesting. So I'm wondering, you want to play this during your main phase 2 so that you're not affected by the combat of it this time, and then by the time it comes back to you, all of your opponents have attacked, and now you're able to swing into them with double strike there. So if you, especially good, you know, it's really good with a go wide board there, but getting at least a few big creatures out there with it seems pretty good. Yeah, I could definitely see this being a finisher. Unfortunately cannot be used in that Tidus deck, but I mean, you're putting one on every single creature anyway, so it's not like you really need to do that there. So an interesting one there as a finisher. I'll certainly think of something for that. A little bit of Elder Brain action with that, you know, you've got all of the, what are they called there? The Mind Flayers, all the Mind Flayers bound down to their leader there. 5 and 2 black for a 6/6 horror with menace, and whenever it attacks a player, exile all cards from that player's hand, then they draw that many cards. You may play lands and cast spells from among the exiled cards for as long as they remain exiled. If you cast a spell this way, you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast it. Oh, so this seems like a upgraded version of the Intellect Devourer there. You're cycling out the cards in their hand. This seems like a pretty good target that you could give Myriad to. Unfortunately, again, the guy is in white and red, but you could in something like Ishin, because it's white, black, and red, and it doubles up all of the combat triggers, you would Myriad out 2 additional versions of this, and then they double up their combat triggers there. So they exile all cards from their hand, draw that many cards, then they exile it again. And you've got 3 players worth of stuff. Man, that's pure Disneyland, Disney World type of stuff. But if you could pull that off, that seems like it would hurt people so bad. I want to do that at some point there. That's okay. That's going to be one of my goals there, is Ishin into the Duke and then Elder Brain here. Oh, big old Dragon Commander card here. A little bit of Miram's Sentinel Worm. 3, a green, a blue, and a red. Some good colors there. For a 6/6 legendary Dragon Spirit with flying and ward 2. You know, have to make it hard to get rid of. Whenever another non-token dragon enters the battlefield under your control, you create a token that's a copy of it, except the token isn't legendary if the dragon is legendary. Yeah, very, very good dragon card there. So get another enhanced, etched version of it there, I'll certainly take that. Oh, and a little bit of Tasha the Witch Queen. I don't think that I have this one here, so this is another new card there for me. Thank you, Tasha. 3, a blue and a black for a 4 loyalty legendary Tasha Planeswalker with whenever you cast a spell you don't own, create a 3/3 black demon creature token. Okay, so you're putting this in one of those I play your deck type of things that we talked about. She can be your commander, and to tick her up 1 loyalty, you draw a card, and for each opponent, exile up to 1 target instant or sorcery from that player's graveyard and put a page counter on it. Okay, so you're drawing a card and exiling stuff from graveyard, so you can, specifically instants and sorceries, okay, so not creatures. So you can stop any like flashback or anything like that. And for a -3, you may cast a spell from among cards and exile with page counters on them without paying their mana costs. Okay, so you're able to play big things without paying your mana cost there. Nice, nice, nice. Okay, yeah. So this is definitely a contender for those ones there. So glad that I got this one here, and we're also going to get a foil version of that Will Blade of the Frontiers there in that alternate art style. We'll certainly take that with that foiling, a little bit of Fairy Dragon and Treasure. So getting up a fancy version as well. So now we'll be able to bling out that particular deck there. So getting some nice, decent ones. That one I didn't have, but or 2 ones that I did have, and I'm looking to do them again. A little bit of Hoarding Ogre, a little bit of Guardian Naga, some Atrocious Experiment, a little bit of Sigil of Merkle, a Ghost Lantern, a Mountain, an Aranis Gloomstalker, okay, Commander Liara Portier, okay, Allura the Merry Thief, and okay, Spire Garden will certainly take some of that there. Getting some more of those land actions of the 2 or more opponents. As I said, we'll take as many of these as possible because we can play these in any commander deck. They're going to be coming into play untapped there pretty much every single time that we use them there, and certainly take that. A little bit of Death Kiss. Okay, what's this? 5 and a red for a 5/5 Beholder with whenever a creature an opponent controls attacks one of your opponents, double its power till a turn. Okay. So give incentive to have them attack other people. If you can put this out there and have that whole double strike counters go out, you double their power, and then you give them double strikes. So you're essentially saying quadruple their power. Oh, more. Whoa. Double X and red Monstrosity X, so you can make them bigger, and when it becomes monstrous, you go up to X target creatures your opponents control. So, so it's like, okay, you get this down, and then the next turn you do the double strike stuff, and then you monstrosity it to make them, to go with the big creatures again from them, to have them do it again. Okay, fun. I'll certainly take that. Getting a little bit of Horn of Valhalla, 1 and a white for an artifact equipment with equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each creature you control with equip cost of 3. Okay, so go wide board, make one thing big. And Isgard's Call, X and double white for a sorcery adventure with create X 1/1 white creature soldier tokens. So you can play the sorcery, get some stuff out there, and then play this and make something big. All right. A little bit of this is that Maisie True Sword Paladin that we had gotten before, just with this other artwork there. Okay. I kind of like that halo that she has around her there. It kind of gives that kind of feel of protection there, as if like, she is going to be able to survive there. So it kind of feels like she's got totem armor in the picture too. And good old other artwork there of Lyzel Vlaakith's Champion. So getting both of the artworks there, I'll certainly take that so that, I'll be able to complete out the collection there. And we're going to get for ourselves a Ravenloft Adventurer with a Goat Treasure. Okay, Ravenloft's Adventurer, 3 and a black for a 3/4 human rogue assassin with, when it ETBs, you take the initiative. Okay, so it's one of those adventurers. Right. If a creature an opponent controls would die, instead exile it and put a hit counter on it. When this attacks, if you've completed a dungeon, defending player loses 1 life for each card they own in exile with a hit counter on it. Ooh. Okay. So if you're able to have this survive some sort of board wipe, and they have a lot of stuff exiled out, and you can hit them up for a lot. Okay. Alrighty. Final 2 packs here. Unfortunately, have not gotten a Ancient Dragon yet, but that doesn't mean that we can't get one there. Alrighty. Let's see what we got there. You've been caught stealing. No. Lapis Orb of Dragonkind, Pegasus Guide, Cloud Kill, Amethyst Dragon, an Island, Vol, Candlekeep Researcher, Far Travel, Agent of the Iron Throne. I think that this is a good one. Commanders you own have whenever an artifact or creature you control is put in the graveyard from the battlefield, each opponent loses 1 life. Yeah, it's not too bad. And we're going to get a little bit of Wand of Wonder, an artifact with 3 and a red with pay 4, and you tap this, you roll a d20. Each opponent exile cards from the top of their library until they exile an instant or sorcery. Then shuffle the rest into their library. You may cast up to X instant or sorcery spells from among the exile cards without paying their mana cost. 1 to 9, X is 1. 10 to 19, X is 2. 20, X is 3. This is really good with Will. They're both red. Oh my, this is awesome with him there. Being able to do that, getting 2 instant or sorcery spells, not for free, but for 4 mana. I mean, but if you're getting more than 4 mana value worth of it there, and they're giving you some good stuff, especially since this is something that you can kind of dump mana into if you've got any extra there, that's not too bad. I really like that. A little bit of Harper Recruiter, 2 and a white for a 3/1 human warrior with flying. With whenever it attacks, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a cleric, rogue, warrior, or a wizard. Oh. You could reveal more from among them and put those cards into your hand, put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. Oh. So you could put up to 4 cards in your hand with this just by attack. Oh. So yeah, if you're really playing a party time deck there that has all of those different ones there, or again, if you're playing something that has a lot of what are they called there, the changelings there, technically that happens and you could put them in there. Nice. Okay. Will's Reversal. Okay, so we had Gale's Reversal. This time it's Will's Reversal. What are you doing, Will? 2 and a red for an instant with choose target spell or ability with 1 or more targets. You roll a d20 and add the greatest power among creatures you control. Will gets +1/+1s on him whenever you roll dice. 1 to 14, you may choose new targets for that spell or ability. Nice. 15 plus, you may choose new targets for that spell or ability, and then you copy it. You may choose new targets. Okay. Yeah. That's nice. I'd certainly play that there, especially with the Will. And this one is only 3. It's not like Gale's there, where you're able to replay it, but you could play 2 copy. You can essentially play 2 copies of it for 3 there, especially if you have a big enough creature. Yeah, I like that one. Little Cultist of the Absolute, another background there etched. 1 black for a legendary enchantment background with commander creatures you own get +3/+3 and have flying, death touch, ward pay 3 life, and at the beginning of your upkeep sack a creature. Okay, so good aristocrat stuff, being able to consistently sack your creatures there. You get a bigger creature with flying and death touch, and it's hard. You have to make your opponents pay life to be able to target it. Not too shabby. I mean, ward with paying mana is a lot better, but I think that you could do it, especially since it's only 1 to play. Oh, there's one of my other friends' stuff. So I think 2 of my friends, their favorite is Lysel. One of them, their favorite is Shadowheart. My favorite is Karlach. So I've gotten the trifecta of our favorites there. Shadowheart, Dark Judas here. 3 and a black for a 3/4 legendary human elf cleric. With 1 and a black tap, sack another creature, draw X cards where X is that creature's power. Yeah. Yeah. Being able to draw a bunch of cards for 2 mana just by sacking 1 creature. Yeah, I'd certainly find a way to play that. All right, last one of the pack here. Please be something good. It's just a little bit of Jan Jansen, Chaos Crafter, again in this foil version of his alternate. Unfortunate. That's a good one there to sacrifice with Shadowheart there, that token. Alrighty. I think that was the first one that... No, I think we had another pack that didn't have a mythic in it, but I think we still have about a mythic per pack. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. No, we're short by 1, so if we get 2 mythics, we'll essentially have a mythic per pack in this there. That's not too bad. All right, starting off with a little bit of Deadly Dispute. Yeah, I think that this is a good one there. Additional cost. An additional cost, you sack an artifact or creature, you draw 2, and you create a treasure. Yeah, I like it there. Stirring Bard, Avenging Hunter, Skullwinder, I remember that one. A Rug of Smothering, a Forest, Lausanne, Dragon's Legacy, just with that alternate art, alrighty. Candlekeep Sage, Hardy Outlander, and we're going to get a little bit of Gorian Wise Mentor again. You know, so we get to choose if we want to do the rainbow foil or if we want to do the etched foiling there. But we've got multiple ways of blinging out the deck if we really want to. So in addition, we're going to get a Solemn Doom Guide. I haven't seen this one before. 3 and 2 black for a 4/5 Tiefling Cleric with flying, and each creature card in your graveyard that's a Cleric, Rogue, Warrior, and or Wizard has unearthed 1 in black. Ooh. Okay. So you're able to bring them back briefly there. Because I think that's what it is I think it's unearth is you bring it back with a +1/+1 counter on it there, and I don't think that it's sacrificed at the end of turn. It might be, but I can't quite remember unearth. Because Undying is it comes back with the +1/+1 on it there. I think unearth, it might come back just for the singular turn, but I mean, even still, having something come back with haste for 2, I mean, that's not too bad there. I mean, if it stays around, that's even better, because Undying is just a trigger there, while this is a cost there. So either way, I'd take it. I'd still play it somehow. Another Barroom Brawl there, just with the extended art this time there, making a whole bunch of stuff fight constantly, you know, one after the other there. So hey, you know, I'll certainly take another one just in case I can put it into something else there. Oh, and we're getting our good old, another one of our companion characters there. We got Gale, Waterdeep Prodigy, 2 and a blue for a 1/3 legendary human wizard. With whenever you cast an instant or sorcery from your hand, you may cast up to 1 target card of the other type from your graveyard. If a spell cast from your graveyard this way would be put into the graveyard, exile it instead. Okay, so you cast an instant, you get to play a sorcery from your graveyard. If you play a sorcery, you get to play an instant from your graveyard. The one that's in your graveyard gets exiled, though. So essentially, you're able to play every single one of your instant and sorceries theoretically twice. So you probably want to try to run half and halves type of deal. Probably not going to be running ones that are too expensive just so that you're able to play both there, but not too bad. Raphael, Fiendish Savior. I think that this is one of the villains there, and I don't think I have this card there. I mean, it's black and red. I wonder if it's a villain. 3 a black and a red for a 4/4 legendary Devil Noble. With flying, other demons, devils, imps, and tieflings you control get +1/+1 and have lifelink. Okay, a little bit of Lord action. At the beginning of your end step, if a creature card was put into your graveyard from anywhere this turn, you create a 1/1 red devil creature token with when this creature dies, it deals 1 damage to any target. Okay. So And that's at the end of each end step. So if you have something die, this potentially could be good with that background that we had of the sacking the creature there, because it goes away. And I think that the way things work is even the devil creature token technically hits the graveyard before it dissolves into nothing. So I think it's the way that even the devil creature tokens, when they die, you put something out. That could be good. I mean, it's just one thing. You only get one thing back each turn there, but I mean, to almost theoretically be able to put one out each turn if you're able to sounds pretty nice. So, I mean, like I said, I don't think I had this one, so I'm glad to get it. Final card of the pack there. What we're going to get is Legion Loyalty. So not getting up our Ancient Dragon there, but we are getting something good still. I think this is an alternate art, full art mythic there. 6 and 2 white for an enchantment with just giving all of your creatures Myriad. That's a pretty impactful one there. If you can get it out, being able to just attack all of your opponents with each single creature that you have there, making multiple copies there. ETB triggers, attack triggers there, with Ishin there. So, I mean, this is a way for you to get the Elder Brain there if you're using the Ishin as well. It costs more, but it's an enchantment, so it's harder to remove. Hey, I mean, we didn't get the Ancient Dragon, and we missed out on having one other mythic, so that we had essentially one mythic per pack there. But 11 mythics and some pretty good cards, especially the Displacer Kittens, multiple of the lands, especially the Morphic Pool. Oh boy, yeah, I'm very happy with the stuff that we got here. So thank you very much for joining me on this little dragon adventure there. Who knows, maybe we'll be delving back into the dungeons there. We'll transverse the Undercity one more time at some point there. I'm sure of it there. So thank you very much, and I hope that you have a wonderful evening, great day, whatever have you there. Wish you best of luck with whatever you're up to. I'll see you next time. Take care.